everybody, in this video we're going to go over some more proofs that have both conditionals and conjunctions in them. Namely, we're doing numbers 4 through 9 from the book. Let's get into it.
Number 4, this is on page 33. It says this: I fed the big fish. What would that be? Line 1, that's just B. Assumption. Line 2, if I fed the big ones, so arrow, if I fed the big ones, then I fed the little fish. Assumption number 2. Thus, so here's what we're solving for. I fed both. That means, oh, here an and is coming. I fed both my big fish and the little ones. That's what we're solving for. And so remember, we have 3 things that we can use. I'm going to do it a little bit in shorthand this time. So we've got 3 moves that we can use. We can use arrow out, we can use and out, and we can use and in. And we want to say, can we do this one? If not, can we do this one? And then finally, should we do this one? Let's go through it. So first of all, do I have any arrows not in parentheses? Yep, here. So I have an arrow not in parentheses. Do I have a left side match? Yes, I do. That means I unlock L. That's arrow out. Where was the arrow that I used? Line 2. Where was the left side match? Line 1. And then I want to do this. After I do a move, can I do another arrow out? Is there another arrow not in parentheses? No. Is there a dot not in parentheses? No. So then the question becomes, should I make an and in? And like I said, look at the goal. The goal here that we're trying to get is B.L. And I said 99% of the time, if you're trying to get an and, you're probably going to build it with an and in. So do I have the pieces to build this? Do I have a B somewhere? Yep, line 1. Do I have an L somewhere? Yep, line 3. So let's just put them together. B.L, which is what we want to get, and in. Where was the B? Line 1. Where was the L? Line 3. And this one now is done. Number 5 says this: I fed the big fish, but it's not done. And if I fed the big fish, I fed all my fish. Hence, I fed all my fish. Now, the way the author of your textbook does it here is he only capitalizes some things at certain times. I'm going to kind of give you this one as it should be. I'm never going to uncapitalize something when it is repeated like the author of your textbook does. Line 1 would be this: I fed the big fish, and if I fed the big fish, then I fed all my fish. Assumption number 1, in fact the only assumption that says hence, that means this is what you're solving for. Solved for this: I fed all my fish. Just A by itself. Okay, we got 3 moves in place: arrow out, and in. The questions are, can I? If so, do it. Can I? If so, do it. Should I? If so, do it. First of all, do I have any arrows not in parentheses? I have an arrow, but it's parentheses, so I can't do anything with it yet. Do I have any dots not in parentheses? Yep, right here. So what can I do with that? Break it apart. That gets me 2 things. I'm going to get B by itself, B, and out. Where did that come from? Line 1. And then this B arrow A here, I'm going to get, and it's going to be unlocked from its parentheses now. I also got that, and out. Line 1. Okay, move is done. Go back to the top of the list. Do I have any arrows not in parentheses? Yep, now I do. Line 3. The left side is B. Do I have a left side match? I do. So that unlocks A. And that's actually what I wanted to get in the first place, which means once I get this, I'm done. So I just say what I did. I did arrow out there. Where was the arrow? Line 3. Where was the left side match? Line 2. Problem is done. Number 6 is actually a classical argument from philosophy, namely Metaphysics, Book 12 by Aristotle. So let's look how it's broken down for us here. So there's the original argument as W.T. Jones breaks it down, and then let's take a look at what is actually said in the second part, where on page 34 it says Jones's argument, and he's breaking down Aristotle's argument from Metaphysics, Book 12. So even if we don't understand the parts, let's actually see what it says and just represent it formally. The unmoved mover knows only the best. That's simple. No ands or ifs in there. That's just K. Assumption. Line number 2. The unmoved mover is the best. And the unmoved mover would be God here. An assumption. And then it says this. Okay, those 2 so far are easy. It says if the unmoved mover knows only the best and is the best. So it says if, which means we know there's going to be an arrow. And whatever follows if goes on the left side of the arrow. So it says if he knows the best and is the best. All of that is on the left side of the arrow. If both those things are true, then he knows only himself. or itself for Aristotle, but that's what it says here. So unmoved mover knows the best. Unmoved mover is the best. If he knows the best and is the best, then he knows only himself because he's God, according to Aristotle and Jones here. So what we're going to solve for is this, because it says, so the unmoved mover knows only himself, which is to say, for Aristotle, God only cares about himself, in the sense of that's all he knows. Many philosophers throughout history, Aristotle, Thomas Aquinas, Maimonides, Ibn Rushd, have pondered this question. But here's at least what Aristotle says, and here's his argument. Basically, God only knows himself, and maybe if he knows other things, he knows them in relation to himself. That's another argument altogether. But we've got this argument. We want to solve for H. God only knows himself. And we've got these three moves in place. Arrow out, and in. And again, the question is, can I do this one? Can I do this one? Should I do this one? All right, let's give it a shot. So first of all, do I have any arrows not in parentheses? Yep, right here. The left side is k dot I. Do I have that as a match? We got k, there's I. Do I have a match to this k dot I? I do not. Moving on, next one. Do I have any dots I can break apart? Do I have any dots not in parentheses? Oh, there's a dot. It's in parentheses. So can I break it down? No. Next question. Should I build anything together? Now, I can take any of these three things and put them together. As long as you got two things, you can always put them together. Is there anything I should put together? Now, look, our goal in the end is H. It's not a dot. But is there anything I should build right now? So if your goal is not a dot, is there anything else that you should be looking for that's a goal in the moment that's a dot? So right now, for example, if we had k dot I, we could get H, which is what we want to get. So do we have k dot I anywhere? No. But do we have the pieces to build k dot I? Yeah, we do. So let's do that. We should do that here. So we can build k dot I because we got the pieces in 1 and 2. And in fact, I'm going to say and in. Where do those pieces come from? 1 and 2. Now, go back to the top of the list. Can I do an arrow out? Do I have an arrow? It's been there. Its left side is k dot I. Do I have a left side match? I just built it. So what does that mean? I can unlock the right side of that arrow, H. Arrow out. The arrow is in line 3. The left side match was in line 4. And I got exactly what I wanted to get. And I said how I got it. Let's take a look at number 7. Okay, the first thing it says is the prisoner contracted hepatitis in jail. Now, you might want to go ahead and say, oh, number 1C assumption. However, it says, this is a consequence of the following facts. This is confusing. All right, and I wouldn't give it to you this way. That means this is actually the thing. If it's a consequence of the following facts, the prisoner contracted hepatitis in jail, which would just be C, which, by the way, gross. That's actually the conclusion. That's what we're solving for. It's not clear there, but that's what we are. That's what we're doing. So when it says this is a consequence of the following facts, it's saying this thing here follows from the following facts. So the following facts are the assumptions. Let's take a look at the facts. Line 1. The incubation period for the disease is from 10 to 50 days. That would be I so far. But it keeps going, yet, that means and, yet the prisoner has been in jail for more than 4 months. Okay, F. That's our first assumption. Line 2. We stop with a period. Each period means we're on to the next line. It says, now, if that now is just there for free, if the incubation period is from 10 to 50 days, so that I already had, if that, then if. All right, it says then if. Remember, when we see then if, it says then provided that, but then provided means if. So remember, we see if then if, that means we got a heavy right, and we know another if is going in here, another arrow is going in here. That's going to be an assumption. What follows provided that then? The man has been in jail for over 4 months. If this, then if this, he must have contracted the illness in jail. These are the assumptions. These are the facts. This is what we're solving for. We've got 3 moves. Arrow out, and in. Again, can we? Can we? Should we? Let's do it. So first of all, do we have an arrow not in parentheses? Yes, we do. Right there. Do we have a left side match? Do we have an I by itself? Oh, we have an I here. Is it by itself? Nope. Moving on. Can we do an and out? Do we have a dot somewhere not in parentheses by itself? We do. So what does that mean? We can break those two things down. That gets us I and F separately. What move there? And out. Line 1. And out line 1. Now, go back to the top of the list. Can I do an arrow out? Do I have an arrow not in parentheses? Yep, line 2, it's been there. Do I have a left side match? Yep, in line 3. That unlocks this right side, which is F arrow C. It's bigger, but that's the right side of that arrow, and that's going to unlock it from the parentheses. So I get F arrow C. Arrow out. Where was the arrow? Line 2. Where was the left side match? Line 3. There it is. Go back to the top of the list. Do I have any new arrows not in parentheses? Yeah, this one that we just got. Does it have a left side match? Line 4. What does that mean? I'm going to unlock C. Hey, that's the thing I wanted to get in the first place, which means once we prove this, we're done. So yeah, line 6 is C. What move did we do? Arrow out. Where was the arrow that we used? Line 5. Where was its left side match? Line 4. Done. Now number 8 says Roman reloaded. Here's the proof, which means we're solving for Roman reloaded. Okay, line number 1. Here's the proof. That's how we know it. Like here are the assumptions. Here are the facts that we want to use to solve this mystery that Roman reloaded. Let's prove it. His 9mm Beretta holds 17 bullets, and there were 5 live rounds in the weapon. Assumption number 1. Fact number 1. Line number 2. But, that word but there, yeah, it means and, but it's superfluous here. It's just there. Detectives found 13 spent casings. Fact number 2. Fact assumption number 3. Now, if the handgun holds 17 bullets, and the police recovered 13 spent casings, and there were 5 live rounds in the weapon, well, let's take that. We got this so far. It holds 17 bullets, and they recovered 13 spent casings, and there were 5 live rounds in the weapon, then Roman must have reloaded. No, okay. So all this stuff is on the left side of an arrow. All right, great. For Roman reloaded. Assumption number 3. Is this dyadic? No, it's quadratic. There's a special kind of math for that. So let's take a look at this left side. Is it dyadic? So what that means is this stuff's going to have to be grouped together so that we make it dyadic. So first of all, the first level of grouping I use is parentheses. The second level I use is brackets, and then the third level I use is braces. If we go any more than that, I usually end up repeating. Okay? So that's what I use. Like this is level 1, level 2, level 3. So here we got 3. This is definitely the left side. H.C.L, then R. So here's 3 things. So I know this. If I go 1 level out, I'm going to have this. Brackets around H.C.L. But if I zoom into here, is this dyadic? No. There are 3 things. Hey, but it's all dots in here, which means I can either put the parentheses around the H and the C, or I can put the parentheses around the C and the L. Does it matter which? No. So I'm just going to arbitrarily choose this for our sake. H.C.L. If all that, then R. Okay? And now we're going to proceed with our 3 moves in place. Arrow out, and in. And this problem will actually turn out the same way in the end, even if I put the parentheses around the C.L here. Because again, if you got all ands, then this whole thing isn't all ands, but the left side is. Okay? So here are my questions from here. Can I do this one? Can I do this one? Should I do this one? All right, let's proceed. First of all, any arrows not in parentheses? Yep, this one. Okay, left side match. Do I have H.C.L? No. Now look, I kind of have some of the pieces here, so you might be tempted, can I just jam that C in there? You cannot. You can only use the moves that we got. All right, even if it seems like you can. So let's move on to the next one. Do I have any other arrows not in parentheses? No. Do I have any dots not in parentheses? This one. Right here, H.L. Let's break them down. We get this. 4 and 5, we get H and L separately. And out for both. Where did the pieces come from? Line 1. Okay. Any new arrows? No, nothing new has changed. Any other dots? Nothing new. Like this stuff is here. It's in parentheses. This is in parentheses. This is in brackets. It's extra locked. So then the question I want to ask is, should I build anything? Now I've said before, if your conclusion is a dot, you're going to build something. Now, do I have anything I need to build? No. Then the next question is, do you have any dots on the left side of the arrow that you need to build? Look at this, H.C.L. This is all on the left side of an arrow. We need to build this. So we got to build this first, and then we want to build this other stuff onto it. So let's build the first thing that we need. Can we build h.c? Yeah, we have the pieces. There's h, there's c. Let's build them. h.c. What did we do there? That's and in. Where are the pieces? Line 4, line 2. So now we got half, in one sense half, one sense 2/3 of what we need here. What do we need to build on to h and c? L. Let's do that. We get h.c, because now this is a unit together, dot L. Say the pieces that you got. Now don't say here 4 and 2 and 5. No. Where was h and c together? Line 6. Where was L by itself? 5. So look, now this is the left side of this arrow. So now when I go back to this question, do I have an arrow? This has been here for a while. Do I have a left side match? Yeah, I just built it. h.c.l, there it is. What does that get me? R, which is what I want to solve for. So I say I did arrow out. The arrow that I used was in line 3, and the left side of the arrow was in line 7 because I built it. This problem now is done. Number 9, we got f.r.p, parentheses around the f and the r. But what we want to solve for is f dot parentheses r and p. At first glance, it might seem like these two are basically saying the same thing, because if we got all ands, and you can put the parentheses wherever you want, it seems like these are saying the same thing. Well, they are, but we need to logically prove that. Now, since it's intuited that you can actually switch between these two things, there is actually later a move that we're going to learn that allows us to just switch between these two things immediately. Like, oh, you can just flip the parentheses around. And this is called the associative property in both mathematics and logic, or just association for short. But we don't know that yet, so let's prove that this is a thing. Let's prove that you can actually, if you got this, you can just move the parentheses around. That's what we're going to do, prove it. So we're going to use the moves that we've got. We've got arrow out, and in. All right, again, can I do this? Can I do this? Should I do this? Let's see if it works. So first of all, any arrows? Nope. Dots not in parentheses? This one. Okay, so let's break it apart. It breaks down to two things. First of all, we get this nonsense, not in parentheses anymore. We get f.r. That is and out from line 1. And also just p by itself is and out from line 1. Okay, go back to the top of the list. Any arrows? Nope, that hasn't changed. Any new dots not in parentheses? Yeah, this one. So let's break that one down. I get this f and r. Where did those pieces come from? And out line 2. And out line 2. Okay, back to the top of the list. Any new arrows I can break apart? Nope. Any dots I can break apart? I've broken apart them all. Okay, then this question. Is there anything I should build? Well, I want to get f dot r and p. Now look, I already have the f. And I actually got r and p separately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build them together first, and then I'm going to adjoin this. So watch this. I'm going to go line 6. I can get r dot p, half of what I need here. How do I get that? And in 5 and 3. Because look, r was in 5, p was in 3. I got that. Now what I'm just going to do here is, again, this is another sense of, should I do this? Yes, you should. I want to get f dot r and p. I got r and p. Let's put the f onto it. F and r and p, because that's a set. I can say, I did and in there. What did I do? I adjoined line 4 to line 6, and the problem is done.
All right, so that was problems 4 through 9 from the book. What we're going to do in the next video is a couple of the remaining problems from the same chapter. See you next time.